Welcome to Not Entirely Unlike Tea with Christine Collins. Hey there, it's Christine Collins, and today we are looking at an interesting topic that people often are curious about in relation to affirmations. So what is actually happening when we say something that is self-affirmative? When using functional MRI machines and going through this process, the brain's self-processing regions, the medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate cortex, have some increased activity, and also so do the reward centers. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex lit up and the ventral striatum, similar to how they might if you were anticipating something genuinely rewarding. So a values-based self-affirmation can be interpreted by your brain as an actual real neurological reward, similar to accomplishment or a feeling of achievement. It's not a matter of just lying to yourself until you believe it, or that fake it until you make it concept. It's actually tapping into some neural circuitry that can process the things that are the most valuable and meaningful to you. And even more interesting, when this process is done prior to going into a challenging situation, the brain might be less likely to immediately throw up defensive walls and go into a threatened or fight or flight mode. This could actually have an impact on the way we respond and our actual behavior. It may also affect the choices that we make, whereas when we're not in fight or flight or feeling deeply threatened, we might actually make healthier choices. Because when we are in a fear mode, a survival mode, we often make less healthy choices. So what is really happening here? We're affirming our core values, or the things that matter the most to us, the things that we place a high value on, that we really care about. And then at the same time activating some of these reward self-processing systems that help to feel more secure in who you are as a person, that can allow cognitive resources to become more freed up that might otherwise go into self-defense, defending your ego, defending your position, or fending off a threat. So when something challenging comes into the picture, your brain is actually a little bit more capable of processing that instead of immediately rejecting it in order to protect your ego or your sense of self. It's almost as though you've already done that in advance with the affirmation. You've already put that self-protection on, and now you're more capable of facing that challenge. But the key here is not to be generic. So not just saying someone else's generic phrases like I am successful, I am wonderful over and over and over. That doesn't activate these same systems in the same way that reflecting on your specific values, the things that matter to you, and connecting those things to your own future goals. So highly specific, highly individualized, with future-oriented affirmations about things that you care about and that you're trying to move towards. So for example, if you're really interested in becoming more creative, or creativity itself is a really important value for you, saying something like, I'm going to find ways to express creativity this week. It's almost like you're setting a little mini goal for a short-term period of time and saying, I value creativity and therefore I'm going to find ways to be creative this week. It's kind of hits different than having someone else's pre-written generic affirmation. It's specific, it's goal-oriented, and as a hypnotherapist, it reminds me a little bit of some of the elements that go into hypnotic suggestions that we use in hypnosis, which are tailored to the individual's goals. They are not random generic affirmations like we so often hear about, just I am great, I am wonderful, that kind of thing. It's highly specific to where you're trying to get to, what you're trying to focus on. And we know that we tend to drive in the direction where we are looking. So if you're always looking at something negative or unpleasant or expecting a negative outcome, you kind of move in that direction, particularly in regards to yourself. Whereas when you're able to refocus your attention on the outcome that you're aiming for, the direction you want to move in, and you keep your eyes focused on that, you're much more likely to go in that direction. So generic affirmations can feel very cringy and very fake because they're not authentic to you. They're not tailored to you. And that's why I think in some ways they've almost become a bit laughable in some contexts. But there is neuroscience around using some form of self-affirmation in a goal-oriented, highly focused way. And particularly when you may be facing challenging feedback or challenging scenario, it helps to lower some of that defensive reaction that you may otherwise experience when perhaps someone is critical of you or critiques your work. By doing some of this goal-oriented affirmation ahead of time, it almost puts on a little bit of a neurological protective suit for you, but only if you do it in a way that is aligned to how your brain processes this. It's not a sense of magical thinking, it's ramping up the areas in your brain that can help you to stay engaged with your goal and your focus. And understanding that your brain has some existing systems for processing your own values as well as your reward center, and activating that with intention. So the key is ensuring that those little statements are tied to real, individualized, personalized values, are future oriented and organized towards your goals or your desired outcomes, and it feels authentic to you. And in doing that, you may just find that some of your outcomes improve as well. If you are interested in utilizing the very powerful tool of hypnosis to help to implant some of these new concepts, new ways of thinking, changing and shifting old behavior patterns, particularly old thinking patterns, where perhaps in the past you tended to think of yourself in negative ways, there was a lot of negative self-talk happening in your head. Hypnosis is very powerful because the way that it works is it helps to get you into a deeply relaxed state where you are more open, more pliable, and you have an opportunity to shift some of those thought patterns. And the hypnotherapist then comes in with some of these types of statements that are oriented towards your future goals. You can design a hypnosis around a particular outcome or focus, such as being more creative, such as being more productive, such as being more focused or attentive. Whatever it is for you, that hypnosis can be designed around your goal and your focus, and give you the opportunity to put in some of those messages during your being in an alpha or theta brainwave where you're more deeply relaxed and therefore more receptive to that messaging. And if you'd like to check that out, all the information is available in the show notes. My Hypno-Pothecary, which is a very low-cost hypnosis and other mindset tools membership. And until the next time we connect, I wish you the most magical and creative day. Thanks for listening. This is Christine Collins at transformcreate.com.